Welcome to the official Dream SMP merch shop. We have hoodies, sweaters, mugs, and more. All the items are linked in the description below. Thanks for supporting us. Tommy and Tubbo were walking through the snow, heads bent against the biting cold of the snow. Tommy shivered and pulled his coat tighter. "Tubbo," he said, voice muffled by the scarf wrapped tightly around his face. "Are we almost there yet? It's freezing out here." Tubbo stopped and turned to Tommy, a smile on his face despite the cold. "Almost," he said, holding up a hand, whined and nudged him in the ribs. "Don't play dumb, Tubbo. You know I hate it when you do that." Tubbo laughed and smacked Tommy on the arm lightly. "Be patient, Tommy. We'll get there soon enough. And then you can have all the cocoa you want." At the mention of cocoa, Tommy perked right up and nodded vigorously. They started walking again, this time faster, both of them eager to reach shelter. Tommy slowed down, looking around. "This place looks familiar," he muttered. Tubbo squinted, trying to see past the thick blanket of snow covering everything. "It does look familiar," he agreed. Tommy suddenly picked up his pace, excitement evident in his bouncing steps. "I think I know where this is," he said, turning to Tubbo with a wide grin. "We're almost there, Tubbo. I can feel it." Tubbo returned the grin, his eyes sparkling with mirth. "'Kay, Mr. Know-It-All," he said, mock disbelief lacing his voice. "Lead the way, oh wise one." Tommy dramatically bowed before running off again, his laughter echoing through the silent, snow-covered landscape. Tubbo shook his head fondly and followed after him. As they rounded a corner, Tommy stopped dead in his tracks. His eyes widened and his mouth formed a perfect "oh." "There it is," he breathed, his voice filled with awe. In front of them stood a log cabin, small but cozy, nestled between snow-laden trees. Smoke curled lazily from its chimney, promising warmth and comfort. The sight brought a smile to Tubbo's face as well. "It's perfect," he whispered, his earlier laughter fading into reverence. Tommy nodded, unable to take his eyes off the inviting cabin. Without another word, he started running towards it, his joy evident in the way he skipped up the steps and pounded on the door. Tubbo followed more slowly, his gaze lingering on the smoke curling from the chimney just a little longer. The door opened before Tommy had even knocked again, revealing a woman with kind eyes and a welcoming smile. "Hello," she greeted them warmly. Come in. You must be frozen." Tommy and Tubbo stepped inside, instantly feeling the warmth envelop them like a comforting blanket. They looked back to see the woman close and lock the door behind them. "Thank you," Tubbo said, his voice muffled by his scarf. The woman gestured for them to sit by the fire, and they did, watching as the flames danced before them, casting flickering shadows on the walls. "You boys must be hungry," the woman said, breaking the silence. "I'll get some food ready." Tommy and Tubbo nodded, too shy to speak. They watched as the woman bustled about the room, her humming filling the silence. Soon, a delicious smell filled the air, making their stomachs rumble. "All right, boys, dinner's ready," the woman said, placing a bowl of stew in front of each of them. Tommy and Tubbo looked up, surprised by how good the food smelled. They thanked the woman and dug in, the silence no longer awkward but comfortable. After they finished eating, Tommy and Tubbo helped the woman clear the table. "I'm so sorry for being so rude," Tommy said, his cheeks flushed with embarrassment. "It's all right," the woman said with a wave of her hand. "I understand. It must be hard being away from home for so long," Tommy said, his voice barely a whisper. "It's just that I haven't seen you before, and I'm scared that if I ask where we are, or try to leave, you'll stop us from going home." The woman's eyes softened, understanding dawning on her face. "Oh, my dear boy," she said, kneeling down to his level. "You don't need to worry. You're safe here. I won't stop you from going home." Relief washed over Tommy's face, and he nodded slowly. "Thank you," he whispered. The woman stood up and beckoned for them to follow her. "Come with me," she said, leading them to a room with a large window overlooking the snow-covered landscape. "This is your room for tonight," she said, gesturing to the cozy bed in the corner. "And this," she said, pulling back a curtain to reveal a bookshelf filled with various books, "is where you can find anything you want to read. There's also a bathroom just down the hall." Tommy and Tubbo thanked her and quickly unpacked, their earlier anxiety forgotten. "I'm going to go check out those books," Tommy said, grabbing a book from the shelf and walking out of the room. Tubbo nodded and got into his pajamas, then crawled into bed, his earlier exhaustion returning. He yawned and snuggled under the covers, suddenly feeling very sleepy. He closed his eyes, letting sleep pull him under. He woke up to the sound of voices. He opened his eyes to see Tommy and the woman talking by the window. "We have to get going," Tommy said, his voice laced with urgency. "What?" Tubbo asked sleepily. "It's morning already," Tommy said, turning to him with a wide grin. "Come on, Slowpoke. We have to hit the road." Tubbo sat up and rubbed his eyes. Okay, he said, getting out of bed. He walked over to the window and gasped. Outside, the once heavy blanket of snow had vanished, replaced by lush green grass and blooming flowers. The sun shone brightly in the clear blue sky, promising a beautiful day. "How did you make it snow yesterday and not today?" Tubbo asked the woman, who was now standing beside them. "A simple trick," the woman replied with a mischievous twinkle in her eye. "I wanted to see if you would stay if you knew it was a dream." Tubbo blinked, confused. "Stay," he echoed. "Stay what?" The woman's smile faded, replaced by a look of sadness. "Stay here forever," she whispered, her eyes downcast. "She made it seem like a choice," Tommy snapped, his voice filled with anger. "But really, she kept us trapped here with her stupid magic." "That's enough, Tommy," Tubbo hissed, turning to him with a sharp look. "Why are you being so mean?" "Not being mean," Tommy retorted. "I'm just telling the truth." "That's no way to treat our savior," Tubbo said, ignoring Tommy's glare and turning back to the woman. "I'm sorry," he said softly. "We didn't mean to stay here. We had to go back to our world." The woman looked up, surprise flickering across her face. "You want to leave?" she whispered. "Of course," Tubbo said, nodding quickly. "We have people waiting for us. We have things to do." The woman smiled sadly. "Of course you do," she said, reaching out to touch Tubbo's arm. "I'm sorry I deceived you, but I needed to believe that someone would choose to stay with me. Even if it was only for a dream, I understand," Tubbo said, squeezing her hand gently. "But sometimes you have to let go of the past and move forward, even if it hurts." The woman nodded, tears glistening in her eyes. "I know," she whispered. The woman waved her magic wand, and suddenly the room began to spin. Tommy and Tubbo grabbed onto each other for support, as the world around them dissolved into a swirling vortex of colors. When it all faded away, they found themselves back in the snowy landscape, the log cabin nowhere in sight. "I hope she finds someone who stays with her," Tubbo said quietly, his eyes fixed on the path ahead. Tommy nodded, unable to speak. As they started walking, the sun rose higher in the sky, casting long shadows on the ground. The snow crunched under their feet, the only sound breaking the silence. Neither of them spoke again until they saw the familiar signpost marking the entrance to their own world. Relief washed over them, and they broke into smiles. They hugged each other tightly, whispering their thanks and farewells. Then, with one last wave, they stepped through the portal and disappeared from each other's sight.